Good evening and welcome to the Selectmen meeting of the Weare Board for January 2nd, 2019. Everybody rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, we'll have public comment.
Okay.
Good evening, Richard. Just a brief update on the new mixer that you authorized at the last meeting. It's been received in, and we're going to install it and test it tomorrow, so it should be functioning for the next meeting.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Just a comment about the unreserved fund balance, and as it relates to the tax setting that was done back on October 15th. During that tax setting meeting, it was brought to light that the amount of money that we had in the fund balance maybe wasn't sufficient to give any money back. If we were going to do a 5%, we were going to retain 5% of the total obligation, it would have resulted in a $40,000 expenditure from the fund balance to reduce taxes. As it turned out, you didn't have to use that money, and we still were able to reduce the taxes by about 2 cents. It's not unusual. I don't have an issue with that. There are times when we went through 5-7 years in a row where we had a flat tax rate, and some years we used $250,000 in unreserved fund balance, and some years we didn't use any. The object was to keep a flat tax rate. But the concern I have is what happened after that, and what happened at subsequent meetings. It's a fairly low amount of money in the unreserved fund balance, in my estimation. And the way to increase the fund balance is by using surplus at the end of the year, or by using unplanned revenue, unexpected revenue coming in, the FEMA grant, something to that effect. We decide not to use that money. The board has the option to use it, spend it on something, or the board can opt to put it into the general fund, into unreserved fund balance. But for some reason, and I would, if you can give me an answer, if not, that's fine. You used $93,000 of the surplus this year to buy items that were already scheduled and planned in the 2019 budget. These weren't emergency items. These were items that were planned out for purchase in 2019. We've used unreserved fund balance in the past to purchase items that were absolutely necessary and didn't want to take the chance that it might not have been approved. An example of that are police cruisers. But for some unexplained reason, I say it's unexplained because I heard a reason, you took $93,000 in surplus, which could have been put into the unreserved fund balance to build that back up again. So next year, you had a better amount in there that could potentially be used to offset taxes. But you opted to spend it on items that were already included in the 2019 budget. The only thing that did, and maybe this was the intent, was to reduce the proposed budget by approximately that amount of money. So I don't understand it. I really don't. Next year, you're going into next year with the unreserved fund balance being relatively low. And I'm not sure, and I haven't looked at the warrant, if you're using any of that money to offset any of the articles in the warrant. If you are, you're getting to a point where it's close to being irresponsible. Your fiduciary obligation, I think, is your primary obligation to the town. And I would hate to see that fund balance get so low that you can't even use it to help offset taxes for the taxpayers. So that's a concern I have. I don't know if you have any answers to why you spent all that money for items that were already included in the proposed 2019 budget, except, I believe, except for the amount of money required for the cameras that was over and above what was planned, I guess, somewhere to the tune of about $14,000. So do you have an explanation, or could you get me an explanation as to why you did that?
I mean, we can definitely talk about it, but we don't. I mean, I don't personally have an explanation right now.
All right. And I just one other question. Could you tell me why the fire department is allowed to give a $1 an hour increase to its employees in the middle of the year out of an existing budget without waiting for a proposed budget to be approved? Could you tell me why how the Board of Fire was allowed to give a $10,000? And I'm not arguing that this isn't needed. I'm concerned more about the process or lack of process. How the Board of Fire can give a $10,000 a year increase to the fire chief in the middle of the year. It's already in effect, I believe. I believe the $1 an hour increase for firefighters, EMTs, is already in effect. Yet, if I look at the warrant, it appears that there's an article on the warrant for a $1 an hour increase for the highway department. You see, why can you do it here and not here? I don't agree it should be done mid-year. I think it should be part of the proposed budget or a separate warrant article. But what's the authority for the Board of Fire Wards to do that? It seems like it just goes against everything that the Board of Selectmen have done over the years. I mean, right. I don't get it. I really don't. Do you have control over the Board of Fire Wards' budget?
We do not.
No, you don't have control over their budget at all?
I believe, and luckily the chairman just walked into the Board of Fire Wards, I believe that falls back to RSA 154.
Which states?
Which states that the Board of Fire Wards handles the fire department, is the governing body of the fire department.
And you don't have any authority over that budget? They come in and present the budget to you. Is that just because?
Out of courtesy?
Is that what you're saying?
Like I said, Dick, that's a question I've been trying to nail down since I was on the Board of Fire Wards and since you were on this board.
Is this the first year?
This is the first year of this, yes.
Then what gives them the authority to go ahead and do it?
They have management.
Yeah, I mean...
Well, why do you do it different?
Why do what different?
The wage increases. Why don't you just go ahead and do it? Why do you put an article on the warrant for a $1 an hour increase for the highway department?
Because we don't
when they've already done it.
Because we don't have the flexibility in our budget to do that.
It's one town, right? I mean, it's town of Weare,
You're right.
right?
You're right. No, it is one town. You're right.
Has anybody asked a legal opinion on that, or question it, or?
I believe that we
Supposedly.
did.
I didn't get an answer back.
Okay.
I mean, I've heard explanations in the past. Well, we've got a legal opinion, and I finally get the legal opinion. It's written on the back of a piece of paper that says, "I think you can do this."
That's why I asked for an email.
Well, I'd like to see it in writing that authorizes,
I was
allows
under the
them.
impression we had that information and that that's the way it was.
I'd like to see it in writing. That's all.
Yeah.
And I think the board should see it in writing.
Okay.
It's really, I mean, come on.
I'm in
it's not-
total agreement.
It's very inconsistent. And again,
Since
you know, I don't want
1978.
somebody up here whining and crying about, well, we don't have no, we don't get paid enough.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with that. It's the process that I'm concerned about.
Right,
The process relative to pay increases.
right.
I mean, you get a lot of money in that budget that are personnel-related issues, almost, I think, well over $200,000. It's a lot of money for this town, and I don't want to go into details on the budget. You get a public hearing set up for that, but
Yeah.
it just seems so inconsistent that you get one department that is you're allowing or is allowed to do this, and you get another department for the town of Weare that isn't. You do see the inconsistency there.
Not
So we
disagreeing.
should get an answer. Thanks.
Frank Campana. Comment. As I listened to the tail end of your meeting last week, I generally just scroll back and forth, happened to be at the right time. There was a request made by you, Rick, to Naomi to see, the word you used was viable, to see if it was viable to come up with money to offset police car and the fire chief's car. Okay? I commented before about, well, gentlemen before me, and believe me, it was not contrived to work this way. But, you know, when you set the tax rate, what was the term used? Money was tight, and you couldn't give any money back to reduce taxes. And as I had commented, here we go. You're coming up with money to offset. And I realize this is a handout tonight, because that's the first...
Misspellings in it and everything.
No. So, and I am, you know, I'm jumping the gun with this, because, but that's the first thing I went to look at. And whatever article number it's going to be, the fire chief's car, all right? $48,000 fully equipped, $40,000 to come from unexpended fund balance, okay? Hey, money was tight. We can't give anything back to reduce taxes. $8,000, a mere $8,000, a paltry amount of $8,000 to come from the Fire Department Replacement Vehicles Fund. They just raised their rates, okay? And I'll use the word again, it's greed, all right? And I don't care what anybody says about it. It's greed. Absolutely. It upsets me to no end. My other comment is, in the messenger, the public hearings that are coming up for January 14th. I was taken by surprise that one of the items for the public hearing is the $2.5 million road bond. Again, hearing, so it's up for discussion. And there's no time frame. It starts at the beginning, and you know there's no ending time. So whatever time that ends, if it's 10:30 at night, then immediately following, there's the public hearing for budgets, operating budget, special warrant articles, and the default budget. Well, that sounds like a pretty heavy load for you know, an ordinary taxpayer to come to listen to. All right? I mean, they're both, you know, you know, specific issues, and it could be a long discussion. The CIP report, it was this year's CIP report, it was presented to the planning board November 18th, and to you folks, I'm sorry, November 8th, 11/26 to you folks in the Finance Committee, 28th. It's been out for quite a while. Can anybody tell me a real good reason why there wasn't a public hearing way before January 14th to conflict and take up time with budget stuff? By the time the 14th comes, almost a month. This has been out almost a month from when it was presented to you. All right, actually a little bit over, the 26th. You know, this has been out a long time. Now, you know, somebody as cynical to me, like me, is going to suspect that it was designed to have two topics which can take up a lot of discussion if the public comes out, you know. And what are we going to be here till midnight? You know, you folks, you're going to be here that late? I think it's a tremendous misstep, and quite honestly, I wish the Selectman was here. To me, it's a slap in the face to the taxpayers to have two high-priority discussions in a night like that, when the board and everybody at the table knows for a fact that just to discuss budget and warrant articles can take quite a while. So, like I say, I'm cynical, all right? And I think it was done by design. And I don't want to hear, say, well, it costs a lot of money to put, to run ads in the paper. Well, you've got a lot of money. You've got $40,000 that you're gonna find to offset a car, all right? It doesn't say anything about the police cruiser, whether you're gonna do that or not. But the request was made to offset those two, if possible, all right? You got $93,000 in surplus money, and I know somebody's gonna tell me, well, don't forget we had a budget freeze. Well, do a budget freeze and give $93,000 back to me. And the last thing I have, I don't know, you guys do nothing for the taxpayer, certainly that I can see. And I hate to be the only one up here speaking for the other 10,000 people in town. I wish they would be aware of what was going on. I received the New Hampshire Business Magazine today, fresh off the press. And my comment centers around the pay raise that you folks are going to give the non-union people, I guess. I commented on that the last meeting. You've okayed a 3% pay raise, and my comment, and I haven't heard anything to the contrary, that the employees are paying some percentage less in their health insurance. So take that some percentage less, again, I'm not good with the numbers, take some percentage less, add it on to the 3%, and, there you go. They're going to get 4, maybe 5%. But in the back of if you've ever seen this magazine, it says Numbers Crunch, and it lists quite a few things. But in today's, the percent of health care costs the average New Hampshire employee pays, employee, not the employer, elsewhere, is 18%. All right? The average New Hampshire employee. I mean, this isn't a rag magazine by any means. Okay? Somebody might say that. Elsewhere in New England is 24%. So I think that's great. The employees, have a status quo on what they pay for the health insurance, and they're getting certainly more than 2.8% that I'm getting. And that's all. Thanks.
Any other public comment?
Right. So I was down here a couple weeks ago to discuss the police department, and at the time my suggestion was to disband the police department. Obviously that's a large project and probably not really the appropriate approach to the problem. There's a few things that I started looking into and have come up with a few problems with, and that is that we've recently had there was some investigations done of the police department by MRI. One of the reasons why I bring this up is, one, the town failed to pursue a 3-company bid. They chose a company to investigate whatever it was with the police department that they were investigating. The reason why I have a problem with that was, as I was looking through some of these consultants that they have, that I noticed that one of these consultants would be the former police chief to our current police chief, Kelly. That would be David L. Kurz, one of the consultants with MRI.
Who?
Kurz, he's a Durham police chief currently. And that seems like it would be a conflict of interest with Chief Kelly being formerly employed by one of their consultants. Another potential problem would be Mark Murdak, who was a former state police officer. One of our selectmen, Jack Meany, a former state police officer. I don't know if they served together, what kind of relationship they would have had, but they both served with the state police under the same time. So there's several connections between our current chief of police and the selectmen, and as it's The selectmen are also part of the managing body of our police department. These conflicts of interest, draw some attention to themselves and concern. One of the other problems with MRI is the town used them to find former police chief John Valeka. In their investigations, they failed to uncover sexual misconduct in New Haven, which was easily found in a Google search. And as MRI failed to provide an adequate investigation into the potential employees that they were suggesting that the town of Weare hire, it really starts to draw some conclusions as to what type of investigations, what are they actually doing when the town has hired them. Are there any other pros and cons with MRI in the past? I mean, this is as far as what I've been able to dig up so far. But I guess it would be a question of mine, was MRI used to hire the current police chief, Kelly?
No.
No.
So that was done under a different process.
Yes.
Okay. So it would be a request of mine at this time that I would like the police chief, Kelly, investigated by a company as such as we have had to have MRI do in the past with the police department. That being the case, it would be in the town's best interest to make sure that there were no conflicts of interest, that there's no persons who are potentially have been employment together in the past who might have certain relationships with one another that may deter these investigations that are being done. With the former John Valeka and the stain he left with the Weare Police Department, it becomes harder and harder for a department in our town to hire qualified candidates. I believe we just recently had another one of our full-time police officers leave. It's kind of been a little bit of a revolving door. We have a few officers here who have been here in town for quite a while, and there's actually none of the officers in particular that I could even find a complaint about. Most of them are very thorough, they're professional. If there's a question of, who's right, who's wrong, what has the law really said, I've had several of them, no question. We'll open it up, let's see what the law actually says, and we'll discuss it. So they've been very good about that. And again, my concern comes back to with our police chief now that just the complete failure of investigation into a matter which I had personally brought to his attention. I hand-delivered those complaints to him and then was refused a meeting, as I had told you guys previously. And I don't know what other sort of problems there have been, but to have a thorough investigation done which would potentially uncover and show the town what is going on, why we should keep Chief Kelly. Maybe I'm totally wrong, maybe this is a rare incident. Has it been happening repeatedly? And as well to investigate potentially Jack Meany's involvement with having a connection with MRI. Was there any, maybe I need to file a 91A on that as far as communication between the Board of Selectmen and MRI, if there was any direct contact between Jack and Mark, if that was potentially create an avenue for any conflict of interest. And I'm sure as I look into this more, there'll be, more things that I'll have questions on that I'd like to bring up and bring to the selectmen. But I just wanted to follow up with that because obviously disbanding, like I said, disbanding the police department is a pretty large order and is probably not the right route. But to seek out management so we can keep the good officers we have, the ones who know people in town, who have that rapport with certain people, who can work and do what they need to do, and not have to constantly be a revolving door. Let's keep quality officers. Let's see something happen with a police chief. If the answer is replacement, then let's find a police chief who's not going to let this happen. And I guess that's all I have to say for today. So,
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. Any other public comment? Tom?
Tom Clow, North Weare Village. Just a follow-up to the comments that were made on tax rate, just to remind the board that Last year, Weare had the lowest tax rate of any bordering town, and also towns reaching out as far as Milford, Hillsborough, Warner, Bradford, and you went down 2 cents in 2018. So keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Any other public comment? Department head committee items. Would you like to say anything?
Sure.
Regarding a few of the public comments we had?
Steve Roberts, Chairman, Board of Fire Wards. As far as the makeup of the Board of Fire Wards, I don't think there's any inconsistency in the town. We're an elected board, which is different from the Highway, Police, Parks and Rec, other departments, but we're consistent with the library, who has elected trustees. So how does your budget process differ with the library than it does the other town departments?
Well, the library has their budget, they present it to us, and we don't, I mean, we usually don't see much of it other than here it is, and here's we do their payroll, you know, but.
So, we're kind of like that. In 1977 or 78, when it was established, the board, under RSA 154, which deals with organization of fire departments in the state, it says that you can basically organize how you want to. And so Weare was specific in that when they established the board, that the Board of Wardens was responsible for financial affairs for the fire department. So other than your statutory requirements for the budgeting, the warrant, et cetera, then the budget, once approved, is our authority and responsibility. We'd like to work together as much as possible. Communication hasn't been very good with the Board of Selectmen in the past. I've been on the board, this is my 9th year, and I've been asking for information and to work together since I got on the board. So it's my hope that as we move forward, we can do that. There was a lot of inconsistencies before, and I pointed out a few weeks ago a quite large one of having 5 years ago when we had a hearing on ambulance rates, that we went through the whole show and answered all the questions and gave as much information as possible. And at the very end, the Board of Selectmen said, this isn't our responsibility, and gave it back to the Board of Wardens. So we had the latest hearing ourselves and got all kinds of flack about that. That's what I have to say.
Okay.
I would like to, the board would actually like to be able to work together with the selectmen and pass information back and forth if we need to have meetings, whatever, but there's too much coming from the rumor mill, and a lot of people making comments that, frankly, they don't know what they're talking about. So the best defense against misinformation is communication. So I encourage the Board of Selectmen to communicate with us.
Just clarification, were the two, the $1 an hour and the 10,000, are those both accurate?
I don't, we gave hourly employees $1 an hour a few months ago. And I don't have the exact figure on the fire chief's salary increase off with me. I'm not going to say any numbers and be wrong on that.
Okay, because we have a, the manifest is considerably different
Yes.
this week than past.
Yep.
Okay. But that was voted on and approved by
Yes.
the board?
Yep.
Okay.
Because there's no minutes over here, because We had no clarification that that was approved.
Yes, we have to work on that.
So there's the communication. And the same thing, in what, you know, in the hourly rate that was done in September, I never heard about it.
Those minutes were here.
Yeah.
Yeah, those minutes are here.
They came in late, as far as...
No.
They were in somebody's email box that didn't print them.
Oh, okay.
But they were
Well,
here.
They weren't, they were here.
They were
Okay.
here.
They were just in an email box, not.
But
Yeah.
why should we have to go to minutes? Why wouldn't the Board of Fire Wards just come over and happily say, you know, we did this? Advise the board that it's been done, so we know. And when we hear it, we have these phone calls from people, that we can advise them, yes, it was done at a meeting and blah, blah, blah.
My suggestion to you is send them to us if they have questions about the fire department, because that's one of the problems.
That doesn't negate the responsibility, as far as I'm concerned, of you all letting us know. I mean, I think it goes both ways.
Yes?
Well, I think that, yes, well, I don't disagree that all boards should communicate. But again, we don't get the same, I mean, you're asking the chairman here to relay all their information, but we don't ask the planning board chairman to relay all their information to us.
I understand that, but they have nothing to do with payroll. They have nothing to do with what our responsibilities and what we're signing for.
Yes, they do.
What am I signing for the planning board?
Driveways, you have.
I'm not signing for them,
No.
other people are.
Stone wall removals, they've seen it, stuff like that. So
Okay.
that's still coming from them. So my personal opinion right now is that it's not right to call him out and that board out individually as.
I'm not calling them out, I'm just asking that
I
if we're
think
gonna
it's-
do things properly, I would like to see the communication better on probably both sides,
No, I think it's.
is what I'm bringing up.
I think that goes across the board for all boards and committees, though. I don't
So,
think it's just
one of
Board
the things
Fireworks.
is we only meet monthly at best. If we don't have any items on the agenda, then we don't meet. But we've been trying to meet more often, even if we don't have a lot of things on the agenda, just so that we are meeting and getting progress reports on the budget and things like that. But that's a little bit of a drawback compared to your board. You act weekly, and it may seem like, oh, this is a long time. But, you know, I think that would help a lot if we had better communications on things and we understand what our roles are. Like I said, it's been a difficult 9 years trying to work through this whole thing and I've asked several times for us board, since I've been chairman, to sit down and have a work session together. And so we
I've never heard of the
haven't done that
request.
yet. So hopefully, maybe something like that can happen.
I've never heard of that request since I've been on the board, so, I mean, I would certainly be willing to do
I
that.
kind of gave up in the last year or so. So, anything else?
That's it.
Okay,
Thank you, Steve. I'd like to,
Public comment, I guess.
no, that was chairman.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Any other department head committee items? Chief? No? Benji? All three is quiet? Oh, all right. Things must be going good then. Okay, we will go to review draft warrant article discussion.
Can I just ask you a favor?
Yep.
Whether you listen to the radio or not, I think we're expecting snow, and I would like to get whatever you want to talk about with Benny done so he can go.
Would you say put him last? Okay. That's fine. No, we can accelerate him right to the front.
I said you want your road last, but you're on state road, so I'm not.
Currently, yes. You mean if I want my mailbox still?
So you might
Okay.
not want, you might want your mailbox down the road.
Yeah. I don't want that Jack's house. Okay, so,
Basically what we did is we put the article together, and the public hearing, the state of New Hampshire sets the deadlines and the guidelines for when you have to post meetings and when you have to have your hearings and when you have to do everything, so there's no game behind January 14th. That's when they told you had to have it by, so if we want to start at 6:45, we could be here till January 15th, but that's the state of New Hampshire hands you that, just like deliberative session. They tell you when you can have deliberative session. I can't pick from that unless you want to do it a couple of nights of the week versus a Saturday. So that's why if you're going to bond over $100,000, you have to have a hearing.
Public hearing.
And that's before you get to the warrant articles or the operating budget or anything else. So, yeah, we put it in the paper that way, and there is no end date because I don't want to shut people off to talk. So, 6:45 will be the start of the
When we start.
night. So, so the first item is the road construction bond, which I recall asking the board one night if you wanted to go with the bond or not the bond, because we have statutorily deadlines to meet to post for the bond.
Right.
And that evening, you decided to go with the bond. So that's why the article is there.
It's written as is.
So it's written there. Nothing has been run by town council and nothing has been run by DRA. All
Right.
it's done is spell check at best.
Yeah.
So the article there is for the $2.5 million, which is honestly the same wording that we use for the garage. I just plugged in the numbers difference and what the purpose was different, which says preservation and rehabilitation of town-owned / maintained roads. Excuse me.
And because of that is a bond, that's why it's before the operating budget.
Yep.
Okay.
And the budget is blank.
It's blank.
We actually have a separate, I think
Page for that.
Jeff put it in front of all you, separate 18, 19 proposed and default numbers. Those will have to be put in, but I think we're definitely, we have to make a couple of changes still, right? Even with the retirees. Okay. So what you're looking at, these numbers here, you guys have one?
Packet.
Yeah. I wasn't gonna go through them, because we're also gonna do this same exercise on Monday the 7th. So, if you wanna take them and look at them, and I'll plug them in as well.
Yeah.
Continue on.
Sure.
I mean, I didn't intend us to be here all night taking things apart, but,
Nope.
I'll just run down from the top if you want and tell me when you have a question or you want me to.
Nope, that's fine.
Kind of following suit, the same we've done every year. The next article is the non-union personnel, which is the 3% that you talked about, that's the pool. That's the numbers. I haven't done any tax impacts either. The next article anticipated would be the $1 increase for the DPW. And that's the amount there, and that covers for 9 months starting April 1st. I stuck all the pay articles, you're gonna see a trend here, right together. The next one is the standby pay for the fire department. And that's for the additional compensation for the evening hours, or I call them overnight hours, but we make them up with a little bit of money. The next article would be for the fire department as well, for 2 full-time employees. And that is for 6 months, because even if it gets approved, it would have to be advertised and hired and things like that. So that is a 6-month. I know there was a question, and Beth and I just have to get together for what the annual cost would be. We haven't done that yet on them. There was a request asked that we put the annual cost down. It just says it's gonna go to the annual budget, but we could add that cost to it. I think Frank asked that a little while ago of any of the ones that are gonna need personnel. The next is the ACO, and that's to increase the hourly wage as well as the number of hours. And that is for 9 months. The SRO is gonna be a little tricky, because I'm gonna have to get together with Laura and the school boards, because it's, I tried to word it here, but it takes a little, it
Wordy.
just says that it's required that the town and school warrant articles for the SRO must pass to be approved. So I'm not sure what the wording's gonna end up there, but the intent is it's all 3 or nothing. Police, 1 full-time officer, that is for 9 months? 9 months. Well, no, we bounce around between 9 and 6, and I think you're gonna get to the library, and you're gonna see 8, because they do this differently.
Yep.
Library says 8 months, and that's for increasing the number of hours. It is gonna create one position will be full-time by the additional hours. The police cruiser, to purchase one, $47,461. The next one is the purchase of the chief's car for the 48, with the 40 from unexpended fund balance and 8 from the fire department replacement vehicle and equipment special revenue fund. Purchase the boat would be next, $25,000 for the rescue boat. Then the 25 is coming from the fire department replacement vehicle and equipment special revenue fund. Onward, the fire for the thermal imaging cameras, and that's for 4 thermal imaging cameras. And again, the funds will come from the replacement fire department special replacement and vehicle special revenue fund. Onward to the 10-wheeler, $215,000. Same as last year, purchase of 10-wheeler. The skid steer, raise appropriate $70,000 for the new skid steer, of which 20 you're gonna take from the capital reserve, and 50 will be raised by taxation. Road reconstruction, this is actually a change to what you've done business as. This is to establish a road construction and maintenance capital reserve fund under the provision of 35-1 for the purpose of constructing and maintenance prevention of roads, and to raise and appropriate 480. Then 284, 881 would come from the state, and the balance is raised by taxation. That does take a majority vote because you're establishing.
Right, and it's just a.
That's 3/5, right?
Majority's 3/5?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And that's because we've talked about it, and Brady's talked about it before. That money's just rolled away at the end of the year if you don't use it,
Right,
which is too bad.
right.
Use it.
So, and if you use it all in the summer, and then, as he's stated before, something happens, you get nothing. So, that was a way of creating the fund to see what happens. The next would be the bridge improvement, which is the third of 4 for the $105,000 to be added to the previously established fund. The next one is Park and Rec, and that's for the field. It's actually the architectural engineering surveys to be done on Quaker Street and East Road for future expansion capabilities. The following that is the government building fund for 66.5. That's strictly for a re-roof of the safety complex. Cypre is $10,000, which they ask for every year for the cemetery work. And I should probably change the next one, because you don't want to go back to the 18 celebration, you want to go to the 19 celebration.
Correct.
$6,500 for purchasing fireworks. The next 2 articles came to me from the Conservation Commission chairman in an email. One is for $30,000, which is for the contracted service for a licensed forester, which I saw over the weekend that on the 29th they signed a contract already. So, I'm not sure.
What we talked about here out the window.
On the 29th,
I thought we were gonna go forward as we have been doing for this coming year.
he signed.
Is it for just 1 year?
What's the amount?
Well,
There's no amount.
it's $65 an hour, not to exceed $2,500 for Collins Landing work, and then the other. All of them is gonna be at 65.
Since when does the Conservation Committee have the authority to sign contracts on behalf of the town of Weare?
Well, I guess, I'm just gonna throw out there that I thought we had said we were gonna have a joint meeting next
Yes,
week.
right.
next week.
And this came through on the 29th.
Yeah. Oh, good, we can talk about that then. That'll be
So, anyway.
first
so
order discussion.
This, I'm assuming that this would come out of this.
Yes,
But
I believe it does.
We haven't, this hasn't been approved yet.
No,
All right.
no.
And the 150 is for land that might crop up. The next two, one I have the answer to, meaning the, the location, the tax map and lot number, the size. The other one, I don't know, there's more than one. I don't know how many you want to look at.
Okay.
But that would be the wording that I would say that we would use, because they, ones that you would add to that would be the ones that are 5 acres of land only.
Only, right.
So,
Yep.
Right.
How many, approximately how many?
What I was gonna do before we jump to put them out for bid, there's some of them that are not, we might need the fire department's vote to get to, which is not worthwhile.
Yeah.
Right.
I think we have to take into consideration for that, and one day I'll give you all that, because
Information.
there's a couple of good pieces, but
Okay.
there's a couple that, on private roads that you can't get to.
Right.
You know, there's some wet, swampy areas that you can't get to. So
Okay.
I think we need to look at it, but that one that's on there, we know of,
Yeah. Okay.
that we talked about last year.
Yep.
This 10.78 acre one, is this, somebody still living in this property?
There is someone in that. And it's been tried to be on Craigslist now for several months.
Mhm.
People that are interested end up calling here, because it's on Craigslist for sale, and it's not owned by the person that's in it.
Right.
So I know I walked through that in about 10 minutes, but if you had any questions, well, Benji was here before he fell asleep over there.
No sleeping yet. Sure, I got a question. Come on up, you're a nice contestant. Just on the skid steer.
Yes.
I don't know if that, and just a question more so anything. I think it's a valid question. To me, there's really nothing special about skid steers. I mean, other than the size, capacities.
Right.
But that changes with the size. Is there any idea of a used market on that one? I know on the backhoe there was different options you wanted on it. That wasn't common to say, Joe Blow contractor. But I mean, other than having the third valve attachment on the end of the end of the arms, I think that's pretty much the only option for a skid steer, other than the size.
No, other than, just don't know what you're getting, I guess, would
Okay.
be the only thing. The one thing I worry about getting used equipment, and a town not very far to the north of us has already run into that. You ask for a piece of equipment, and to the general public, they think they got you a new piece of equipment. Now that piece's lifespan is no longer 10 years, it's maybe 5 years because you bought one 5,000 hours. It's perfectly good for another so many hours. But then when it runs out, I just bought you one.
Right.
I got friends that work in other towns that just happened with a dump truck. They got a 10-year-old truck, used. The second year, the dump body goes to pot on it. So, I don't know how they're handling it, but it's just that would be the only reason. I have looked at them in magazines and stuff. They probably push 40,000 for something in the 2,000 hour range.
Yeah.
And that would include a new bucket, a new set of forks, and what they call a dustpan bucket. It's a broom that sweeps into a bucket, self-contained thing.
Okay.
Would primarily be used to try to keep the little cleaner on the demo and stuff, so you don't have as many flat tires.
Right.
I think it's $4,500, so a couple flats on a super single.
Okay.
And you could come over here and clean up the winter sand in the parking lots and stuff.
Okay. So if that's the case, then probably what we should do then is label that in the actual warrant article.
Oh, okay.
That because again, it just says skid steer. So I think just a regular Bobcat plate sitting out there waiting for something we're gonna put on it, not knowing that we're gonna have 3 or 4 attachments coming with it.
Yeah.
And especially I'm sure that they don't give that sweeper away.
No, about 4,500.
Yeah. So exactly. So you start adding all those up, there's 10 to 15,000 of equipment you're gonna put on the adapter plate. So
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. I think we should just probably put that just skid steer and related equipment.
Yeah.
And maybe put that in the write-up as well.
Yeah.
So, okay, just a question, that's all.
Question I have.
Yeah.
In light of what happened up there a couple weeks ago,
With.
transfer station with the skid steer,
Yeah.
are you gonna look into a side entry door?
Yep.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm gonna demo one. I would have demoed the one that we have right now. I tried to reach out and find somebody that had one of them for rent, but first one answered their
Yeah,
phone's
and
one I rented.
If that could have turned out
Oh, I agree.
highly bad if
I agree. I hear
Things
lots of
have been
things
different.
both ways about those types, so I want to try one
Yeah.
and get own opinion.
You know,
But I know Volvo and JCB make them, and I fully intend on trying every color and make they make if it gets approved. So
Okay.
right now, if anybody sees a skid steer up there, I'm renting one because the one we have is down. Haven't figured it out yet. We didn't go out and buy one. The one I have is Trax. The intention is to get one with foam-filled tires. The reason I want with Trax is A, that's the one that they had, and B, you don't just rent one with foam-filled tires, and for another $200, I got one with Trax, and it's a lot harder to get flat tire on a track machine than it is with air tires.
I'd like to hope so.
So that's why there's a different skid steer, and it's got Trax on it, in case anybody wants to know.
Okay. Any other questions for?
The road reconstruction, just because I heard this last year and I asked for this fund, why can't you spend it all? You must not need it if you're not spending it. It's a very minute amount in the $480,000 scheme of things. I had $720 this year, I think, in that neighborhood because of the leftover money from the state and stuff. And we only had to scramble, the last little piece of it. But in November, just before Thanksgiving, I had a bad culvert failure on Colby Road. Was almost 20 grand, give or take 1,000. So you can save it right to the end, and then it's too late to go out to bid to spend $30,000 time you put it in the paper for 2 weeks and come see you guys, So just looking to roll over the last 20, 30,000 every year, and you're going to spend it next year. It's not
It's going to go back for its intended purpose.
right. I think everybody that votes on it, that's what they want. It's pretty well specified.
That's right.
Right.
Anything else?
I think we're good. Thank you.
Get some sleep.
Yeah. And take some vitamin C. Okay. The incident that Selectman Osborne and Director Knapp were speaking of was the skid steer that we own stopped running with the arms halfway across the door, the access door, and the operator was, I don't want to say trapped, but couldn't get out for an hour or more until we could get the arms down. So what we were talking about was they make, instead of skid steers with two arms on the sides, they make one that just has one arm down the side, and it has actually a side access door rather than getting in from the front over the bucket. I think the ease of access is much easier anyways overall, and probably, again, if probably a lot safer too in the end game. So, and I don't think the money is much different for the, it's still a skid steer. It still has 4 tires, so it's just the way the boom goes up and down, that's all. So just a thought, and fortunately nothing transpired that needed emergency services, but it definitely planted a seed in the back of our heads to think outside the box on our next purchase. So just want to expand a little bit on that. Did anybody have any questions on the warrant articles as they are in draft tonight form?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, good.
Fire chief's car.
Yes.
What?
Fire chief's car.
Personally, I am not in favor of taking that $40,000. We couldn't give anything back to the town for the taxes. We shouldn't be buying anything out of that fund either.
Okay.
I agree.
Sherry?
That money ought to stay right where it is.
Yes, no,
I mean,
maybe?
he's got the fund to work with. He's got the equipment, special revenue fund to work with, so I don't understand why they're asking for that, I guess.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Can I speak to that?
Yeah, I think you're gonna say what I was gonna say, so I'll let you go first.
We did the research on how that truck was purchased in 2006, I believe it was. Is that right?
Yes, I think.
And $75,000 was withdrawn out of the special revenue fund, which was voted upon by the voters for fire department vehicles, for that money to be used for at that time. 25 was taken, I believe, out of the unexpended fund balance. So we're asking for, since you wouldn't give us the whole amount to keep our fleet maintained, we're asking for at least the 75%. And it is our opinion that that's what the voters' intention was for that money to go to fire department vehicles.
That 75,000.
Yes. Well, that That was when it was purchased, so that's, so that's 75% of the money. So the 40,000 represents 75% of the insurance money.
Coming back from the general fund.
Well, it
Fund
had,
balance
as
now.
far as, I mean, you authorized it to go to the general fund. We had asked to purchase a vehicle, which could have been done, and you voted no. We don't have, it's your prerogative to do that. But then researching how the vehicle was purchased, I think that makes a big difference. That's what the voters intended that money to be used for. When we lost the truck, we lost value of our fleet. And so we're trying to maintain the value of that fleet. It was represented at the hearing that we were going to have a boatload of money, and that just flat out isn't true. In the coming years, the money goes up and down based on purchases. And I don't have that paper in front of me, but we have 2023, I believe, and 2026 are two fairly large purchases, a pumper and a tanker, and other vehicles in between. Plus, we have to pay for the billing company commission out of that and stuff. So we don't have a bunch of money. We're trying to manage that fund the best we can.
And that was kind of my, when again, I know I abstained from the vote, but my hope was the fact that, and again, and this is why I use the term viability. I didn't know if we were going to be at the point that we could, at the year end expend it or not, or we were going to have enough to, feel comfortable with the unexpended fund balance, was to put that 75% back, but allow the taxpayers to make the decision, rather than this board make the decision on buying the chief's car, was to allow the taxpayers to make that vote.
And when the Board of Wardens voted, when the issue came up, and we got all the information that we needed to, when they were talking about not being able to fix the truck, we simply voted not to fix the truck at this time. And then we approached your board and gave our presentation on replacing it with the next vehicle in our replacement schedule, which we had a need for. We just spent a lot of money getting the pickup truck that's now the command car inspected. So, that's just the way it is, but, so you seem to be in favor of that. We came back for another, you said you had to see if it was legal, then we came back again, you seem to be in favor of it, but wanted to have a hearing. So frankly, I wasn't prepared for the negativity that I saw at the hearing, both from a few members of the public and from the board. Shame on us, we should have been better prepared, but after looking into all the facts concerning that truck, that's what we found out.
I just want to make clarification, Steve, that the repairs that were done to the chief's command vehicle now came out of the operating budget, not that fund.
Correct.
Okay.
I'm just saying that
Right.
that was part of the reason we were asking for that vehicle at that time.
Right.
Was it, it just
Right.
was.
Anything that comes out of that fund is taxpayer designated.
I understand that.
Just want to make
That's
a
fine.
line in the sand, that's all.
So, yeah. And that's the thing, we're just simply trying to manage our fleet the best that we can, projecting what we think will come in for revenue, which can be up and down, and then, of course, it's hard to project out 20, 25 years what vehicles are going to cost, but we do quite a bit of work on that. So that's where we're coming from.
If it's still the board consensus to go 100% from their fund, that's the way we're going to go.
Voters will have their say.
Well, how do you want it, but it's
rather-
it's us to craft the warrant article, though. So if
I would rather have it come from their fund. And I look at this in a twofold way. This year, there's a lot of articles, and I understand the monies initially came from the vehicle replacement fund, but we've now expanded the vehicle replacement fund to also include equipment. So therefore, I mean, and this is and not that,
Go ahead, I'm just getting ready.
geez, I feel like I'm being attacked before
No.
even opening
Not
my
at all.
mouth. But I guess there's a lot of equipment on here that the other departments need as well. They don't have a fund to be able to go to. And a lot of these are needed items. I would hate for that to not have, another item pass as a result of that.
So,
In other words, okay, the money's coming out of the general fund and along with everything else, so. And like you said, I mean, that equipment has had problems with it at various times. That all came out of the operating budget.
Right, well, I think that's the way that it's been crafted. I mean,
I understand.
once
But I mean,
once it's
we could
purchased,
share a
it's
little
ours.
bit here,
but you say
maybe.
the voters to have their say, they already had their say. They voted for
For that piece of equipment.
They
They didn't
no, I'm
vote to
talking
have the
about-
money go back.
I'm
the
talking
general
about
fund.
when the fund
To
was
the-
set up.
to-
It
yes.
was designated by the voters for fire department vehicles.
Okay.
And so that truck, 75% of the money was purchased out of that. By law, you, as agents for the town, had to accept the money. We couldn't do that on behalf of the fire department. And so you accepted the money and you deposited into the general fund, which, so if we can't do this purchase, we're losing value of our fleet in the fire department, which is all of ours. It belongs to the town. But, so, when you say let the voters have their say, they've already had the say, and so, but you're not actually giving, it sounds like you don't want to give them the option, you just want to say that we have to take it out of that fund. And
So if
like
they
you
have-
said,
If they have the option and they vote it down, then you lose it. I don't want you to lose it either.
so the message that I guess I'm taking from this whole discussion is that never mind.
No, it's rather sad. I mean,
No,
let's have
I-
some communication.
So, you said just a few minutes ago that because now the fund includes equipment, which we felt was prudent because of the expense of some of the equipment that we have to buy, air packs, defibrillator monitors, things like that, very expensive now. So, we were facing potentially $250,000 to buy new air packs. That was a big chunk. We ended up buying refurbished, which was Chief Azina's idea, to save quite a bit of money. And, but looking forward to the future, saying, okay, now air packs have to be because the bottles now they used to be hydro tested and then they could extend the life. Now they just do a replacement and they don't even test them. So you really have no choice. So things like that need to be done. So that's another reason why we're trying to manage the fund as best as we can, and we really don't want to lose this money if we can avoid it, so that we can manage our fleet and our equipment effectively.
I think you've done a good job. I just think on this particular instance that I would rather see it go to the general fund, and that's my opinion.
So, I mean, again, I think ultimately the taxpayer is going to make the decision on whether the chief gets a vehicle or not. That's fact. But the funding method is what they
Right.
task us with, and that's
So you've effectively taken away that money from the value of our fleet. So we're gonna
Not
have-
necessarily, because I think that, over time, you've gotten use out of that, and you've had, the general fund put in 25,000 too, so.
Okay.
I mean, I
I
don't-
disagree with your opinion.
And that's okay.
Yeah,
We
we
can
could-
disagree.
Well, the Board of Fire Wardens asked the selectmen to do that. You all seem to be in favor of it, and then all of a sudden you turn against it. And it was, we were requesting that this be done as board.
Do we have a final figure for the undesignated fund at today?
Right at today, I mean, right now there's 60, well, not on the fund, I'm just gonna tell you what you're gonna throw back in there. As you, this is just tentative. There was an amount remaining from the budget of $60,301.78. You also got at least $250,000 more in revenue than you said you were going to, so you're gonna put in about $300,000 in that fund this year from leftover, at least.
From leftover from what?
But we do have a lot on here. Has anybody, how much this is going to add to the tax rate?
No,
All of
I
it?
mean, I think we're talking two different things. You asked about what's going in.
No,
Yeah,
yes. No,
yeah.
I understand where you're coming from, but I want to know.
That's another question, yeah.
Right, because, like I said, there's 60, Beth ran it really quick, we haven't finished. The tax collector can't close till January 10th. Anything that's postmarked of December 31st, we have to take as 18s. So we're waiting for that to finish, but this morning or this afternoon, there was almost $250,000 more in revenue that we received than we said we were going to. And there's $60,000 left, which we still have one more to do, which we got to take out till the 31st.
Right.
So you're looking at about, right now, because if it comes in less than we estimated, you're gonna have more than $300,000. Right now, you're at $310. It's gonna go back into the fund balance from 2018.
Okay. That was my question.
When was this fund set up?
Which one?
The replacement vehicle and equipment special
I
revenue?
don't know when it was set up, but it was changed last year
Right,
to add the equipment to it.
right.
96?
Don't
I wanna say
remember, I was just
94, but-
curious.
Yeah,
Was it 96? Or 94 when they set it up originally?
is roughly in that era. It was, they originally set up a a fund to do something with the EMS revenue way back when, and that had a similar name. I think there was a rescue replacement fund, there was a fire engine replacement fund. At some point later on, they merged it into
Right.
one fund, which the voters became the agents to expend. So everything has to go through town vote to get money out of there. And then last year, as Steve pointed out, is we looked at, having the ability to purchase equipment out of there, which essentially will allow us to remove really most of, if not all of our capital requests out of having to go back to the taxpayers and ask for money. I'll reiterate what the chair said about the Primex check for liquidating that asset of ours. My feeling ideally is whether we took the whole amount or we split it 75-25, it would be nice if that money could be put back into the fund directly, but we would need the voters to approve that, which we could certainly go that route on its own. Or because we have a capital request that mirrors what that fund is intended for, why couldn't we just apply that to pick a purchase out of that? We have 3 requests this year. I understand it's a touchy subject, but I also feel as though, one, that the intent of that funding was for fire department vehicles initially. What we're asking to do is something that's consistent with that purpose, and whatever the amount of money is that we could get back from that insurance check. I also agree that, we started, I think we were in April. Well, this goes back a year.
when we first had the failure of the truck, and we sat down as a group, as we learned, the extent of that damage, is this something that we should fix? Is this something we should replace? Is this something that we have a need for in the community? And, kind of looking at our needs and evaluating it is, you know what, we don't need to replace that with a like vehicle, because conditions had changed in the communities around us. Goffstown, when the truck was originally purchased, Goffstown did not have a dependable vehicle, which I think was what really initiated that. The Collins Landing project, which is another piece that fit into that. Goffstown has a much better vehicle. They'll send it up with some people on it, which is great for us. Hillsborough has a truck. Hopkinton has a truck. We can get Concord. So definitely things have changed, and so our need to have our own asset, I didn't feel that we needed to do that. The board agreed with that assessment, and so we said, let's just take the cash. We could have easily said, no, we want a truck, and Primex would have gone and bought us one, and that would have been an interesting discussion of, are we going to accept that, or are we just going to... Because at the time, in the discussion last summer was, well, if it was apples to apples, everybody would have been on board with that. I don't think that was in the best interest of the town, and that's why we didn't do it. So, you know where I stand, and not to speak for the board, but I think the board is in the same spot, which is 75-25 is reasonable, and we just ask for your support on that.
So, the chief brought up a good point that I had not thought of right out of the gate, and maybe this is more viable. I hate to make more clutter here, but make the 75% a direct warrant article. Make the car 100% funded from the special revenue fund, and put a warrant article on here to remove the $40,000 from the unexpended.
And what if it don't pass?
If that doesn't pass, the money doesn't go in there. Because
They get their say.
but they would get their say. They would get their say 100% of, do they want that 40,000, the 75% that we've discussed as being the contribution? Does that allows the taxpayer to say, this specific number from this specific purpose, do we just put it in? And I'm not saying to designate it for the car,
Right.
just to take that money and put it back in that fund to be used across the board. Now, to me, that'd be one more warrant article, but that would be a directive say for that money. And then again, the car would be 100% funded from the special revenue fund, without the verbiage in here. I think that would be a direct yes or no from the taxpayers of what to do with that funds that came in. I don't know if that's something that the board would entertain, or but to me that's and then that would be the taxpayer saying yay or nay to the 40,000. And if they don't want to come from the unexpended fund balance, then they don't, and they've spoken.
How do you normally handle insurance payments?
No,
Usually goes to the general fund.
usually it goes into the general fund, and that's the end.
That's it.
Replaces the vehicle, right?
A like vehicle.
Has that always happened?
Has what always happened?
Has that always happened before?
I don't know as it
Gone
has.
on an exact same like vehicle?
No, and I was thinking when we were thinking of when you were speaking of that FEMA checks.
That's not an insurance check for a vehicle, though.
That's correct. But the FEMA checks come back in and they get dispersed into the general fund. They don't go back to, say, the overtime line, the payroll line, et cetera. That was my concept with that. But as far as vehicles, the last one I can remember that we had was a police cruiser that was replaced for a police cruiser. So it was a like vehicle to a like vehicle.
Yeah, but I don't, you still, it wasn't 100%.
No.
You got the value of the car.
Correct.
Value of the
And then
car.
you had to go to DRA, petition to spend your money.
Right.
over
But that was the
and above
insurance, that was an insurance check that we got.
what- Right, you got the
So that
insurance check.
was, I'm trying to use apples to apples.
Yeah.
And
No,
We
I think-
didn't-
I think it's, yeah, I think it's
I don't
different.
think it's as cut and dry as that.
Yeah, me neither.
No, but,
I'm
so,
willing to share, you know.
but, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of pliable ways, but again, if the board doesn't want, and again, this is where it all started back, if the board does not want to use the unexpended fund balance, then that's the board's, I mean, I'd like to have Jack here to make the unanimous decision, but,
Well, you can do that next Monday, it's not, you're
Okay.
gonna finalize it so that you can have a discussion at the public hearing on the 14th.
right, okay.
At lunch.
Oh, okay, dinner. So, okay. Well, I think, to me, I think we should table the final discussion of that until we have a full board. That'd be my own feeling, but it's up to the board that's currently here. We can make a vote now. I would rather not
You
myself.
have Monday to finish, Jim.
Right, I would rather not. And if that's the only thing that we visit from this, that's the only thing we visit. Okay. I think we're gonna table it till Jack's here. Any other questions on?
Do you want me to prepare some wording for another article?
Yeah, just in case. I would think so.
What I can do is I can add one,
Okay.
and you can throw one out, change one around.
Right, yeah.
Did Tom ask a question? Is there finance?
Ask for clarification, finance committee, on one of the articles.
Yes. Finance committee I will allow. Yes.
I'm not speaking pro or con, just the road reconstruction article. Did I understand that it would take a 3/5 vote to pass because it's,
Because there were Senate Bill 2, it takes 3/5.
okay.
Because
so-
we're actually making a fund.
We're creating.
Right.
Yeah.
So I would just express a caution, since you have the money included in the same article, if the article fails, does that mean that the money amount also fails?
Yeah, it would.
So again, maybe you should
Maybe another
consider splitting
article?
it.
Add another article.
Right.
No, let's go to another page, because right now we're even.
Good point.
So what you're suggesting, Tom, would be to keep the 480
In the two.
as an article, but
Right.
also have another article to create the fund
Fund.
for next year.
But it would have,
No.
Not necessarily, I think you probably could do it at the same year, but you want to separate them, so first
would-
one
Yeah,
article
well,
would establish the
yeah,
fund.
separate them out.
Yeah.
And
It would-
then
it would
the
have
other
to be
one
worded.
could be worded in such a way that that money, if passed, would be
Placed in.
yeah.
placed, and if, I don't know, you have to work it out,
Yeah,
but
and if it
I
doesn't
think you
pass, it'll
definitely
still
need
be,
it.
it'll still be
That
used.
doesn't, yeah,
Would
we'd
go in the
lose
general
480.
fund,
Yeah, right.
Would not
As,
be-
as,
that was
as
up
was
here.
desired years past, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you got more space in there.
Yeah.
We've got
You got plenty of
stuff
space, 'cause
to
we got
do.
another page coming up.
What are you complaining about? You got a half, 3/4 of a page
Yeah.
there.
Right. So,
Make the font really small, too.
Right. So the old people won't be able to read it.
If you end up making magnifying glass.
have, Chief Kelly, have we heard from the schools on their support of the SRO position?
Only to the extent that both the John Stark and Weare school boards have agreed to put it on their warrant. I have not seen
I haven't
a
seen the
warrant,
wording either, so.
Okay, but
no idea.
But I know it wasn't the 11th hour last year, but at some point,
Right.
one of them backed out.
No, it was not the 11th hour. It was
Yeah.
the first meeting.
Right.
So we're at the stage now where the last I knew, which was just the, when did we meet? Last Wednesday?
Last Wednesday.
Okay, the one right before Christmas, that day, the superintendent told me that both boards had agreed to put it on their warrant.
The warrants, okay. Okay. Yep,
He's correct,
okay,
okay, but if one school fails, the whole thing fails.
correct. It has to be 3 votes of yes to make it pass. Yeah.
I can check on
Yeah.
that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Anything else?
until next Monday to
Next Monday, I mean,
say yes or no
yeah, I'm gonna
to
send
the
it over to
articles?
Laura. And I guess, Beth, can we put them in the portal to get an answer, or can we not?
Look at it.
You better look at it, okay. Yeah, we'll start with the legal and DRA, and, you know, if you find anything, and anything else, but you can, Monday, we'll have to just finalize so that when we come in here for the public hearing, everybody will have a fresh handout. And it can, still can be changed after that, at the public hearing, whatever you, if you're inclined to take the comments and make some changes, you have the right to. Excuse me.
Question,
Yeah.
non-union personnel
Yes,
article, is that reflective of the Board of Fire Ward's actions?
meaning,
As far as
are they?
the chief's
fire
raise
department
and the,
included?
no, I believe that the fire department is included, correct?
Yes.
In the 3% pool, right?
Yes.
Is that number that's there reflective of the actions that were taken within the last month, as far as pay raises for the employees and pay raise for the fire chief?
Yeah, because their payroll is unique. Whatever the line is for 150 for EMT firefighter wages, it's that amount times 3%. So if their dollar raise is in that amount, then it's got the 3%. Because it's just
That makes sense.
lump sum.
Okay.
I didn't do the
So
percentage, that's why I looked at her.
But
Okay.
It was 87,000 maybe in that line, or whatever it is.
Okay.
3% of that was in the pool.
Because it was used by a bottom line number,
Yeah,
the numbers
because
didn't change.
They don't have 12 people times 40 hours times 52.
Okay.
They just have a lump sum
Okay.
times 3%.
Okay. I just want to make sure there was.
So the people that are gonna get $1, if it goes through, if they get $1 an hour increase, say, well, the fire department has already gotten it. I mean, is that double dipping kinda, that we're gonna give them another 3% on top?
Yes.
I don't call it double dipping, because DPW's done the same way. They're in there for 3 plus the dollar
Plus-
passes, they'll get both.
Both.
But the fire department guaranteed it.
Yeah,
The
they
DPW
guaranteed
is not.
Not.
Right.
Could I ask for a clarification on that too, because I'm confused, as usual.
So if you take each of them, let's take highway, for example. There's a warrant article for $1 an hour raise for highway employees. Are highway employees also included in the 3%?
Yes.
So that they will receive the $1 plus the 3%?
Yes.
If it passes, but if it doesn't pass, they'll,
Okay, and so in the case of the fire
they've
department...
already gotten it.
They've gotten it, and then they're also included for the 3%. Okay, thank you.
Now, with that
have to
Tom brings up a
word it.
good point, I think, is with the fire department one, you don't, the wage number is X, but you don't know if you're gonna spend X because you don't know what the calls are gonna come in. With the highway department, you can actually physically say that each employee, 2080 for the year, is X, but if you give them $1 raise, it's Y now, and you can make that as a new number rather than taking that whole. Does that make sense? And that's also reflected in here? Okay.
So they'll take 3%
I-
off if they get the $1 raise.
No.
No.
No. What I'm thinking is if everybody gets $1 raise, then it's 26,000 increased in that line.
Goes over to the budget.
Right. Or 24, because obviously there's gonna be payroll tax and stuff like that. So it goes, whatever the raise is, it goes into that payroll line. Are we reflecting 3% off of the dollar plus?
After the $1.
Or are we reflecting that number?
It's off of what-
So that number's not accurate then?
It's their current rate. Well, it depends, because if both articles pass, if the DPW gets $1,
Mhm.
and they get the 3%, we'll give them 3% of their current rate, and then we'll add $1.
And that's the same way.
But the
you
fire
do it.
department is
Add
already
$1,
receiving,
and
are
then
they?
3%. That would be more.
Okay.
So
Because
But it's gonna be backwards on the fire department.
You know,
the fire department's gonna end up with more for,
Right,
Yeah.
because it's gonna be the
Yeah.
dollar calculated on top of it plus a 3,
yeah.
because of the timeline.
The way the fire department wages are set up, two different accounts. One is for call, one is for what most people call the per diem, scheduled time. Very, it's somewhat easy to think about the scheduled time piece because we have a pretty good idea of how many hours that's gonna be. We don't necessarily know who's gonna work those hours, but we know how
Take an
many
average.
kind of hours we're gonna pay out. On the call side, it's really, we don't know. We have, some historical data of how many hours we pay out, but at the end of the day is, I don't know who's gonna respond to a call, I don't know what the mix is gonna be. We may have some employees that get $17 an hour, we may get some employees that make $12 an hour, and I don't know what that mix is gonna be.
Some up to
So-
22.
So that's why, certainly in the call line, is there's a pot of money, if you will, to pay out, to compensate those people for when they come in for
And you have
calls.
the people that are on today that may not be on at the end of the year, and you may have a lot more people coming on board that you don't have on today. Correct?
Sure.
What's happening?
For the end.
Believe me, having
No, for the call guys.
20 full-time people, or you could do the math and
I'd love
carry it
to.
all the way over to the other side and say, well, if they get 3%, that's, 2,080 hours worth of 3%, and that's what it costs. We don't have any of that.
No, call you can't, and, yeah. Right.
Oh,
Neil?
I just wanted to add one more thing. In what the call people get is they get an hourly rate, and that's it. And if we paid, I don't think I have any, I may have someone named Smith, but if we had someone named Jones, and they made, and we paid them $100 an hour, they're only gonna get that $100 if they show up. And that's all that they get, is they get that hourly rate. But they have to show up, and what we're finding is that that's becoming harder and harder and harder all the time to get those people to show up. So, does $1 an hour catch your eye? Yeah, it catches your eye, but at the end of the day, it's the impact when you play that all the way out at the end of the year is rather minimal for what you're getting in return.
Remember a couple of weeks ago, Neil brought up the fact that there was a possibility that that vote for the butterfly awards for that dollar was not taken quite right?
Yep.
That somebody voted for it that shouldn't have?
Yeah, and that,
Did that still make?
sorry.
I'm sorry to jump ahead of you, that's maybe a better question for you, but
Yeah, I'll take that.
I got it from town council too, so go ahead.
Was that new?
Today,
Okay,
which
All right.
is exactly what you want to talk about.
yeah. So, my fault.
It's 100% my fault, because we had a couple of members that are call firefighters, and they abstained, and I completely forgot that one of the members had a relative on the department. It still passed even without that vote, if there was another abstention, but we'll fix that. We'll do whatever we have to do to fix it, but it
You don't have to.
okay. And then another thing is, I saw that there was a mistake in the minutes where it said 4-2. It should have been said 4-0-2, because those two were actually abstentions, not negative votes. So we have to correct those. We missed that. So,
But did it?
So it'll be, 3, 1, and 2?
One of the four that passed it has a member,
should have abstained.
Should have abstained,
And that was
so
my fault for
it
not
would've
making
been-
sure that
it
happened.
would have only been 3.
So it'll be 3 and 3.
No, it would have been 3-0-3.
And that passes.
And that passes.
And this is what I was gonna say.
Sure.
How does that pass?
You see the announcement
Your turn.
passed away today? I think it's fairly well settled law in New Hampshire that is, with the exception of land use boards, it is a majority rules when it comes to voting. And so the 303, if that's how it ended up being, would still be 3 in the affirmative and would carry that vote. Land use is different, they have a different set of rules, but
But out of 6
just
people,
like
3 people?
the Board of Selectmen, if if 3 of you had to abstain for whatever reason, even if 4 out of the 5 abstained, if one person voted yes, then that would carry the vote. As long as you had a quorum.
I just want to know if it's been clarified.
I've never heard
Yep.
of
That's
that.
all.
Yep, no,
So just-
Neil raised a good question and we
Yeah,
checked on it.
I'll read what Laura wrote, because she looked at the minutes, and I asked about the dollar hour. And she just said this is a quick email this morning, from what she looked at, just because the member's wife would get a raise that all of the others are getting, in her opinion, it doesn't disqualify him from voting. If she was going to be the only one getting the dollar, he shouldn't have voted. But where it's across the board, and that's why she mentioned that any other board, other than ZBA, if a member abstains, you simply need a majority of those members voting to approve. She's actually had situations where there's only one member where the rest is abstained and it's passed, 104. So, and then after further looking into it and chasing it a little further, she said, I've reviewed the minutes and my opinion does not change. If you want to placate Neil, you could do a no vote, but it's not legally required. So, that's what the answer was. Because small communities run into this all the time with some family member or somebody, or, you know.
Well, you and I talked about that.
Yeah. They live in the same household,
And I was under a different.
Yeah, same household, yeah.
Same household.
but they do.
Right, but it's not, she's not the only one getting $1. Everybody in the department's getting $1 an hour. So he is one vote. I mean, they'll clean it up, but it still doesn't make it illegal what they did. Because there's small towns of 5 that they've had 104 and it still passed, but one guy made the decision. Or girl.
Well, it is a little bit difficult because 3 of our members by town vote are members of the department.
Right.
And so that,
Right there.
you know, one of them wasn't there that, for that vote, wasn't present, but, but yeah, in that opinion that the majority of vote, it says specifically that an abstention doesn't count either for or against. So, it's like, they didn't vote, so, okay, we'll fix
You
it.
probably just fix it just because of the 2 that says.
Yeah, we'll fix that, yeah.
Okay. That's,
You all done for warrant articles for next Monday?
I believe so.
So if you guys do me a favor over the weekend, would you look at this and look at the budgets so that we can finalize on Monday night?
Yep, we can finalize Monday night.
Finalize the 2.
Right.
Now, just FYI, Chief Vizina is supposed to go to finance tomorrow night, so he's gonna go kind of with this.
Okay,
That's all he's got.
great. I mean, they can be I mean, obviously, there's a couple members here tonight. He can have the conversation that we just had, you know, that there's potential that funding stream could change effective Monday night.
And then we have an appointment with finance on Tuesday, so we can explain it.
Right.
anyway, so.
Correct.
That's your jurisdiction anyways.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
In case you get asked.
In case you get asked. Just in case you get asked. You never know what's going to happen. No, I don't think at all. So are we good with the one other thing I did have on the warrant articles, I'm sorry. Don't put them away yet.
Oh, Jesus.
Too late, yeah, I know. It's already sealed. Years past history for the police cruiser. That's come from the unexpended. I myself think it should come from the tax. I think we're at a point now where, myself anyways, is that we do need a car, but I think it's time for it's time to go for taxation.
Yep.
That's my own feeling.
It's written for taxation.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct. But I know that in the past couple of years, we've gone from unexpended.
Right.
And I think that this year it should go to taxation rather than unexpended. Now, like I said, I think that, you know, obviously, where we were 3 years ago, we're not there today,
Right.
thankfully. And I think that, again, I think the need is still there for the car. I just think it should come from taxation.
Yep.
So, okay, that's all. Okay, we can close that one up. Under the desk. As long as nobody else has any comments.
Not till Monday.
Not till Monday. We comment Monday.
All the people who own voicemails.
Can I just ask one question
Mm-hmm.
about accounts payable? Is there a?
Is there a problem with accounts
on
payable?
that?
Is there an issue with accounts payable?
Oh, yeah.
You guys were,
Yes.
Yeah, that repair that was done on engine 2 is not acceptable at all.
Okay.
The cost is too much as far as labor. We have quite a bit of money wrapped up in it going back and forth to the vendor, as long as personnel costs and fuel cost. And I'm trying to get an answer from the vendor of the actual product that is not acceptable. So I don't feel as that.
Taking care of that, or-
I'm going to come to the Board of Fire Wards with my conclusion. But as far as the payment, the work has been done. I don't agree with it. There's other things I don't agree with, so my vote for the manifest is already no. But that's not the only thing, so.
is there enough signatures? Are we gonna?
There's 0 signatures on there right now, on the payroll. There's enough signatures on the payable manifest, yes, but not on the payroll.
Yeah, I don't think legally we can hold payroll, can we?
Probably already been gone.
Yeah, that's
So-
true. It's probably already been
So,
gone.
Okay, no,
you're safe. I think it's,
only talking about AP.
yeah, that's, the accounts payable is 100% me, but,
Okay.
and that's a no from me, but it is already signed for.
We'll get together on
Do you
that.
have a
Okay,
question
thank
on
you.
the payroll?
Oh, multiple.
So
But not, I think, I'm confused on mine, but Beth might be able to answer it, that's all. So, there's,
To come talk to us, Jack.
oh, I will. Well, no, it's on my own payroll. It's my own paycheck I'm questioning.
I know, but
I think it's too much.
Oh, not
you need to come talk to us.
About my payroll?
Yeah. You just said you were gonna go. I said, good idea.
Well, I was gonna come to you about the truck.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, I talk in circles sometimes.
I guess, does any of that concern me?
I don't think so. I think she can answer the question, because the monetary value looks right on my paycheck. I just don't know how we got there, that's all.
Oh, all right.
Well,
Without
she's
seeing
gonna
it.
have to look at it.
Yeah.
I think there's a good reason for, maybe perhaps some of the,
Okay,
get involved on my side.
okay. Your department's involved in the payroll, so I don't know if you wanna go anywhere.
Can I take a look at it?
Yeah, of course you can. And I can show you the question I have.
Oh, okay.
Instead of talking cryptic.
I was just gonna say, I don't.
I mean, I would go, I mean, for,
Please make a note, like, Naomi can fill this in later. I
Yeah.
have no idea.
as much as I did, as much as I had to put up with, I should say, not what I did. I gotta find it now.
Is it because of your detail for the annual dinner?
Yeah, 14 hours?
Oh, you can get paid for it.
According to this, it did. I
Yeah, unfortunately, you didn't.
did. No, exactly, that's what I'm saying, unfortunately, I
Yeah,
did, you're
well,
right.
first I went through here, and then I go through here, and so I questioned it. I'm like, why are you saying?
Yeah, no, that's fine, but,
So that's what you got paid in your check.
yeah, exactly, but why does it say 14 hours?
Because
Yeah, where's, it should say. It says 14 hours.
yeah, because you worked.
Yeah, you know, next one.
You worked 10 hours.
Right.
Call force.
Call for it, right?
And then you worked 6 hours in detail.
It'll be 6
Right.
No, 6 times 25.
doable with that.
That's what you did.
That's not what I saw.
Where did you see that,
This is
sir?
the sheet I saw, but it said I made $350
Oh,
with it.
then you saw
This one.
You saw the first one before I questioned it.
Oh, okay, this is before, this is after.
Yeah.
I didn't see the after, all I saw was before. I said, well, I'd like
Yeah,
that.
that's
I mean, I would like that check if you guys want to give it to me. I mean, that's fine. Okay.
I caught it.
I mean, like I said,
Sorry.
for everything I had to put up with that night, I should probably get that along with George, but, exactly.
Okay, and the police,
What?
the police, you questioned for.
Yes.
Is it for overtime?
Overtime.
Because of the holiday?
Absolutely.
I mean, no, I don't believe, I mean, I know that each officer got 10 hours of holiday per the CBA.
Right.
Where did that go? You took the clip.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, I thought you
I'll put the clip
wanted-
back on it. Oh, no, I won't put the clip back on it for you. I don't want to.
Well, I thought you were gonna.
That's why.
No, we had one officer with 30 hours of
30 hours.
overtime before the holiday.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think,
80 hours total, if I recall.
Yeah.
correct, for a
Yeah.
week, yeah.
Yeah.
was there that many vacancies, and we had other officers getting another 10 on top of, because obviously, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the structure is, if they work the holiday, they get overtime plus the holiday, right?
Double time and a half.
Double time and a half, right? Okay.
Right, so, where are we?
I just wanted to clarify that. It's just, I mean,
You had someone,
40
someone
hours.
on vacation.
At least one, during that.
okay, so that is all shift coverage then?
Yes.
Okay.
You have two, right? You have a lieutenant and a sergeant, didn't you?
On vacation?
You had a first day and a leaver.
Yeah.
How come it's not, John?
And it was more than, by day, one took one here, one,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
How come that's not split up a little
Yeah.
more to other officers?
I mean, we had 90 hours overtime.
What is what?
The overtime.
It gets posted,
CBA.
right, according to collective bargaining, it gets posted, and the people that are eligible to work it have the opportunity to work it. So when you're talking about a small group of people, if, in this case, almost a third of them are taking vacation, leaving 2/3 of them remaining, 2 of whom are still in field training or probationary status and don't have eligibility to work it, the pool of people eligible to actually fill those shifts that are required by collective bargaining is very small. So there's no benefit, aside from them having a nice check. They're killing themselves to fill these shifts at a time when they want to be home with their families. But they're working to try and keep that CBA language alive without me forcing overtime, and I appreciate their effort.
I don't, like I said, I appreciate their effort, I just think 90 hours.
It's a huge amount.
It's a huge amount.
But if you, right.
That's a combination, you take 40 of that off.
Right, so when
Right
I
away
looked
from-
at that, because I saw that too, and I said, oh, wait a minute, we have a number of hours maybe issue in terms of working past the CBA language that calls for forced relief. But when you look at it on the scale of the 7 days, actually they're well below that, because of the fact that some of those hours are actually reported
Holiday.
as worked, but they're holidays.
They're holiday hours, right?
Did you ask the Vizino
Yes. Oh, I asked that earlier.
the difference between the 5 and?
Oh, no, I didn't ask, but we can ask her, she's right here. I think has the chief answered our questions about the overtime for this week?
Yeah,
As far as the holiday and who worked it and who was on vacation and
Who's still field training?
vacations are canceled from here on out and what?
Okay. Field training, but you can't go home.
Right, no, you got 2 officers, right, doing FTO?
One's just coming
One
off.
One just came off,
Yeah.
that's right, yes, now we only
Yes,
have 1, right?
that's
That's
great.
correct.
Yeah, okay. And it's approximately, what, 8 weeks? I wish.
12 to 16.
12 to 16, all right,
Yeah.
that's conservative.
So you get them in-
I was hopeful, I should say.
On the 16 side.
Okay.
But you had one officer, though, that had 30 hours of overtime.
35.
Or 35.
Yeah.
My only concern was somebody working 35 hours overtime after they've put 40 hours in, is that how effective, is there gonna be an issue with?
Right, and that's what I was
That's
trying
my
to
only
describe.
concern.
Yeah, that's what I was
Too
trying to
many
describe
hours.
earlier, is that I did look at that,
Yeah.
and because we do have, as I said, we have language in the calls for forced relief.
Yeah.
Right.
And some of those hours were paid as holiday rather than actually worked. So though it looked ugly, and it probably was, they were probably tired,
Yeah.
they still fell within the bounds of safety.
Rest period and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it says that particular day, hours worked is 30.
Right.
Take 10 off, it's 20. Isn't that still over the number of 16?
Right. I thought they weren't supposed to work more than a double shift.
That's correct.
I'll let you look at it.
I'll have to look at it
See how
again.
you interpret it, because that's the way I'm interpreting that person, that
I just don't want
individual's
somebody shooting
time
somebody
card.
because they're not making the right judgment call.
Is there another question?
That particular day. There is another question, it's for Beth. The fire chief, with his salary increase, it's not reflected in one of the, it's not reflected, I don't think, well, I guess the rest of the board doesn't think either, with a substantial difference in the gross pay and net pay. Is that going somewhere? I'm just wondering.
No, it shows total hours
It's
of
at the top.
30, but regular hours were 0 hours
That match?
worked. Regular hours were 0 hours worked, that the 5 was crossed off, so it's not 30, it's 25. Overtime hours were 15 hours worked, which is within the safety limits.
So 15, it was a 15-hour
And then
day.
he had a 10 hours of holiday pay, so it's 25, not 30.
Okay. So that should have been Xed off too, instead
Yeah,
of just the
that's right.
5.
That correction should be also.
Okay. That's satisfactory to the board, all the answers that we have received to the moment. Okay,
That's it.
thank you.
Have a safe night, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you,
You
Chief.
too.
Is there signatures?
You got enough signatures on it?
I have 0 signatures as of right now.
We'll have to sign. You all set with that?
I am all set with that. As far as I am. I don't know about the rest of the board. I'm good. I just work here.
Mm-hmm.
219. If I get it out, it'll be much better. There we go. So everything else has the 3 on it as needed, so. Put
I
that
just
behind.
asked for the clarifications.
Yes,
Aye.
I was told.
For clarification on that, I told you you get 250. Within that 250, Beth gave me a breakdown of the auction,
The what?
and the net
Oh.
was 145, 785.99.
Okay.
Just the auction. There's still other parcels could have been redeemed,
Mhm.
but that's
Okay.
just the auction.
That's not terrible. Okay. So where is that? Does that still put the balance where we thought?
No, that's part of the 250. That's why I asked.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
And this was a large portion of the
So
lot.
what was it,
Okay.
145?
145, 785.99. Gotta get that 99 cents.
Table. This is gonna be a disaster, Beth, just so you know.
Oh.
This is gonna be a disaster.
We just threw it back in there.
I'm not throwing anything back in there.
You've got enough signatures.
Well, I hope so.
So you're gonna give Beth the box then?
No.
He was kidding.
Oh, I was just gonna.
Oh, I thought I had, you didn't sign?
I don't like how they did the
Okay. You wanna sign?
raise.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's up to you.
Because I'm afraid.
Okay. Huh?
No, he was gonna be late, but he opted to.
He was gonna be late, so late he
Be
didn't,
absent.
he'll be here next Monday.
Yeah. He opted to be absent, I guess. He told me he was gonna be late.
Should be a second. All right, I'm going to move to order the treasurer to sign accounts payable checks dated January 3rd, 2019, included in the following manifest. 2018 accounts payable manifest of $22,360.60. 2018 supplemental accounts payable manifest of $21,669.01. John Stark Co-op accounts payable manifest of $250,000 for a total of $294,029.61. The following manifests were previously ordered to be signed at the December 26, 2018 meeting of the Weare Board of Selectmen. A payroll manifest is $65,418.17, which include a weekly, fire department monthly, and comp payout payroll checks dated 1/3/2019. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. For otherwise, I am going to the board over a bill that we got. I think that we got, I think it's way overcharged. I don't believe that the repair was adequate, and I will bring it to the Board of Fire Wards, because that is the correct avenue. But my vote will be no because of that. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Aye. Now what? What do we pull out? What do you want to pull out? Because I think if we pull out the,
Can you do them separately?
that's what I'm saying. I'm doing it separately. What do you want to pull?
Is it a payroll thing though?
Yeah.
It's not
Oh, we
a,
have payroll.
she has a payroll issue, I have a payables issue.
But if you're gonna take a vote on payroll right now,
All right, we can separate, you want to separate it?
I would
All
like
right.
payroll.
Move to accept the payroll manifest as, no, I'm not gonna move that way. No, I think that's, I don't know if I like that. We've never done that in the past, I don't believe, have we?
No, but I think, I mean,
I'm gonna
I don't
rescind.
know what the issue is, I only got cryptic information, so I'm
Okay.
gonna go speak with them, which is fine.
Yeah, for my issue with the payables,
Right, oh, with payables.
with payables, accounts
So
payable.
Payroll,
Payroll.
still are no?
Payroll is a 3-1 at this point.
Okay, because I heard 2-2, but,
The payroll will be a 3-1.
okay.
But we've never separated out like that, and I think that,
I don't think there's a problem with doing it, though.
but we have the 3 signatures on all of them. So I think it's official anyways.
Technically.
Technically, it's official anyways.
Right.
So I guess we can hold it that way. All right, payroll manifest and John Stark, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay. Supplemental account, accounts payable and supplemental accounts. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye.
That's clear as mud.
So both of you opposed?
I opposed.
Payroll.
Accounts, payroll.
Payroll.
Payroll manifest, I opposed accounts payable.
Okay.
So, the bills make the town go round, employee wages.
Okay.
You'll figure it out.
And it's only on principle. It's not
It's not worked hours or,
hours or it's how it was done.
so let me ask.
Yes.
From here on out, you're gonna vote no for payroll.
That's what I'm asking. That was my
I'm
question.
doing it tonight.
Okay.
Okay.
Until you get to the
I'll
bottom of
make
it.
my decision.
Until you get to the bottom of it?
Well, there's no bottom.
That's right.
I just think that any raise of any significance or anything that
Should
should
go to
come
the
before
town.
the voters.
Yeah, I think it should be
I
too.
would
And that
agree.
it's a,
For
you know, it's-
clarification.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
But again, I believe that rolls back to 154. But I would like, and this is now 9 years in requesting, more clarification on that. from
Well,
the
you
board.
say it,
We
well,
can
you
never
say
get
it.
clarification
No,
as to who
that's why I'm
has
saying
what.
9 years
Right.
and counting.
It's a big gray area.
Yeah.
Right.
The Board of Fire Wards. It
Right.
always has been. When 10 years I was on the board, we never got a
Right.
total yes or no.
Right, and I,
And since then, and since 1978, this has never taken place.
But the raises were given year after year after year that you never knew about here.
Well,
Yeah, they were. They were.
They were.
They were.
Every year in the budget, there was 2.5% for the fire
Yeah.
department. Every
Oh, I
single year,
understand.
when people weren't getting them here.
oh,
So
okay,
it did happen. So
okay,
I'm not defending it either way.
Mhm.
So
Oh.
it did happen.
okay.
And nobody knew about it even sitting here. Payroll change sheets came through and the rest of the employees here were getting none. Everybody was getting 2.5% every year. Every single year over
I
there.
don't think
Well,
that's
where's the
right.
transparency?
and I just, again,
That was a long time, I mean, that was.
Yeah, a long time
That was a
ago.
long one.
I don't want this board to override the decisions made by the Board of Fire, and quote me at that, because I don't want that. But I do want clarification on responsibilities, where they lie here and where they lie over there. Because, you know, and the chairman of the board is right. The chairman of the Board of Fire Wards is correct. I mean, we have a library with a set of trustees that manages their own budget. Is that what the Board of Fire Wards is supposed to do, and they haven't done it in the past because this board has not relinquished it? Think theoretically by law? I don't know. I want to know where the line in the sand is between us, and then it rolls back to, the question is they're all town employees. So the town employees fall under the town, the employee handbook. Is that us or is that them? I don't know, and that's what I want clarification of. Are we sending these payroll manifests through when theoretically their bills should be voted on weekly for them, monthly for them? I don't know. Where do we draw the line? That's the question that myself,
Somebody.
John Osborne, and I think the rest of the board members have had for the last 10 years. Is where is the line in the sand when it comes to finances? I mean, I know that we.
Because in the article of 78, I believe it talked about
I
giving
haven't.
them financial authority.
And I
Well,
think,
yeah, financial matters or something. is
Right.
And
how
that
it's
right
worded.
there
That was
cuts it.
voted on at town meeting.
so we
Yes.
shouldn't even be seeing their bills, theoretically.
Well, then,
According to the 78, if that gives them financial, I mean, theoretically, we cut them a check at the beginning of the year. Here's your money. Don't spend it all.
Whatever you don't.
But in theory, we don't do that with the library. I know we cut it in chunks, but we would cut it in chunks with the fire department too.
But don't you do that for the department heads too, though?
But the
No.
library.
They,
That all comes back through here.
but
yeah,
the
no.
library doesn't give
But
out
they
raises
manage
and
their
stuff.
own,
The town does that.
I mean,
Well,
I
they
can't-
manage their
I
own.
can't tell you what the library used to do, only since we started taking.
Well, they manage their own, but through us.
They always did their own payroll, we gave them 1/12 of their appropriation person every month.
Yeah.
They did their own bookkeeping, they did their own payroll. It wasn't until, I think, Beth approached us to do all of the payroll here.
Right.
So she deducts the payroll portion of the library, cuts the balance in 1/12, and the first of every month, the library gets a check and they pay their own bills.
Right.
You don't see those.
Mhm.
But yet you do see the breakdown of the budget as to how much money they need.
Right.
But you don't see their bills.
But if theoretically, if the Board of Fireworks is theoretically has the same power by the 1978 vote and by RSA, then theoretically they should have the bills too, and they shouldn't be coming to us
For the bills.
for anything that's fire department related.
But the library doesn't give out raises. They don't.
No,
say-
but that's a separate. That to me that's a separate topic. I mean, I don't.
not really, not the way it's been done.
No, I don't think it's separate at all. I think
Not
if
the
they're
way it's
gonna
been
do
done.
it, if the library's got it being done, they're getting a 3% increase. We're dictating that they get 3%.
I don't know
right.
what they used to do when they did their own payroll, I can't speak to that.
Right, because now we're
We
doing
only
their
just
payroll.
started doing payroll.
Yeah, what, 2 years ago, if that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
So-
think they ever did it.
But again, I want to know, and I think honestly, I think we should have the Board of Fireworks here, this board should be here, and legal should be here. And my own opinion is if we're getting gray out of legal, we find someone else to come in and supplement our legal with proper answers. If it's gray, it's gray. But again, I defend
I can't
what
believe
the
it's that great.
I defend what the town has done in 1978 as far as establishing the board. And if their responsibilities are X, Y, Z, then they need to have their responsibilities given to them.
I'm under the impression there's only 3 other towns that have a board of fire wards. I don't know if it's going to be too difficult to pick up the phone and call those towns, see what they do.
And that's fine. I think New Boston's one. I want to say
Barnstead?
Barnstead might be the second
I
one.
mean, why is it
And there's
even
one up north, I
necessary?
think.
Yeah.
Why is it even necessary to have a fire ward?
It's something that was written into the 154 chapter of the governing system.
Somebody's gonna create it.
Yeah.
And Sunapee wants to create one.
Well,
I mean, again, it's again, I'm 100% defending the Board of Fire Wards as what it is today. You know, and if it was to, you know, again, it's up to the taxpayers. If somebody were to come forward with a petition and say they want to disband them, then that's the taxpayer's prerogative. But again, and I'm not saying 2 or 4 on that at all. But again, if this is the way that the rules are written from the town, from the state, from legal, then we need to abide by them.
Police commissioner got smashed years ago.
Yeah, police commissioner, and then we went back and forth on voted and appointed for the police chief, and that was all by taxpayers. So again, and they're the ones that have the say. So I want to make sure that we're, you know, if it's in their realm, they should have it, as far as I'm concerned. But, you know, I don't know if they are staff-wise, I'll say, in a position to do that. I don't know. If they want us to continue doing it because Beth does such a good job, I don't know.
we could give Beth a lot of
But-
extra work to do.
But we could relieve some of her plate too. I don't know. Again, I want.
I think, do you know if the library hires a bookkeeper? No. They do their own.
So, I mean, I just don't know. I mean, but I think it's been a question that I've had since day one I joined the Board of Fire Wards, and here we are, and now I'm on the Board of Selectmen, and we still have the same question. We haven't gone anywhere with it. So I think it needs to be addressed, and I think
Somewhere, somebody has to have an answer.
yeah, and I think John's right. I think we should call a couple of the towns that still have them and see how they operate, or Jan, I'm sorry, Jan, and see how they operate, and and then, you know, have Lori here and have the complete board of fireworks here, and let's have a meeting and hash this out. Maybe they don't want all the responsibilities. I don't know, but I just want. I mean, again, I think we owe it to the board, to you know, the board of fireworks to have that clarification. My own opinion. So, anywho, they are an elected board. That's right. So, but so I think it. You know, again, I think this is going to be a huge ticket item right there on its own, and I think that it needs to be looked into. That's my own thing. So.
I think that the one thing, like the trustees, all the trustees, like the trustees of the library, they're like all like regular people, and that's the one thing that it asked for. In the elected officials would be 3 members, 3 non-members, and the sponsor of the general public. But it seems like the only ones that seem to run are people that are related to fire. So that.
All right, but how do you avoid that?
I don't know.
How do you avoid that?
You can't avoid it, but
it's
it's
a volunteer board. You can't, you know, if there's only one name on there.
I understand.
I mean,
I'm just saying, I think that you know,
is
there's.
it really volunteer?
It's not volunteer.
It's not volunteer, you're all getting paid.
Yes.
No. The board of fire wards is 100% volunteer.
No, the Board of Fire Wards is a volunteer. They're
Minus
not
the fire chief. They are all volunteer.
Volunteer, right.
This board's paid, yes, but the board of fire wards is not. They are all volunteer except for the fire chief, who sits on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
They are elected, yes, but they are also volunteer.
Right.
So. Right. I like that term.
Okay, next item.
Thank you.
I gotta go to bed.
Bed.
Oh.
You gotta go to work now.
Oh, it's gonna be snow on the ground.
Oh, yeah. You gonna go plowing?
No.
Come on.
No.
Yeah. I know there's a seat you can probably keep on.
Yeah, I'm sure.
All right, so, what?
We're gonna start the
Minutes.
approval of minutes.
Yes.
Just so you know, I had a phone call, no name, and it's a private call, so I couldn't see the call ID, but they called up and said that they'd come in to get the 10 minutes, and that they were not in, on Monday, they were not at the town office. And I thought we had a 5-day deal.
On which Monday?
This last Monday.
Didn't I send them all to you Monday?
They didn't have them, they came in, somebody came into the town office to get a copy of the minutes, and they weren't downstairs.
Hold on.
I think I sent them all out Monday.
She didn't have a
She
copy.
gets an email copy that she's supposed to print.
But even still, that's still longer than the.
I'm not denying that, I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
no,
That's
I
what
just-
happened before, it sits
Yeah.
in somebody's inbox.
Yeah, I don't know
You get
about
them
that.
To do that.
Though
Right.
I actually called, I was gonna call you, and then I called, and I think it was Jane answered, and Jane said, we got them today. I don't know, beyond that, I can't tell you.
Well, I'm not sure how,
I don't know, but it doesn't matter, it's just that they were looking for the minutes, and they're 20-something days late. Or whatever it is.
They were sitting there Monday. They were there Monday. That's when I got the email
What
from
time?
Naomi was Monday.
That's why I
What
got.
time on
yeah,
Monday?
and it was probably later than it should have been. 'Cause I was
4:30.
here, yeah.
4:30.
Oh, was it
Yeah,
the-
so they closed.
Because I was
Yeah,
the only
yeah.
one that was here.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
that one I was here. I think you
Anyway,
can take the box.
I can't tell you who it was, but, and I couldn't give them an answer or anything. I wasn't home Monday when they called. but-
You take the box now. Thank you, you too. Nope, square. Okay, 10 minutes. Let's approve them. Let's do something with them.
I unfortunately started with 12:26,
Oops. Now you go find them.
and those are the only ones I did.
Nope, that's 18s. Let's not do that one. 12:18. I wasn't really here for that one. But I was, but I wasn't. La-da-dee, la-da-doo. Oh, I'm
Wait, to go through part of that.
Direct.
Oh, wait a minute, I did do 12:18. What am I saying?
Okay.
Still missing 12/17.
Okay.
Okay, good.
I know, because somebody emailed me and said, you gotta do the 18th, you didn't meet the 18th, and so we met both days.
Okay, so,
Which one are we doing?
December 10th. December 10th. For all those captivated.
Yeah, I
Oh,
didn't
yes,
do them. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Did anybody else?
Anything on page 1? Page 1, page 2. Page 2, page 3. Page 3, page 4. And 4, 5. And on 5, 6. And on 6, 7. Seven and 8. Motion to approve the 12/10/18 minutes as written. Is there a second? Is there a second?
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, do we want to do these in order and go 18? So
I did those.
I have to go back a page. '18, page 1.
It's okay.
Beginning on page 1, page 2.
Let's see. Under code enforcement, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 line, 7th line down on the end. I think it's offices, CES.
Staffing changes made to offices when a retirement was made. Instead of officers, it should be offices.
Okay. And I changed it to when an employee retired and town administrator Bolton was appointed to her current role,
Okay.
instead of the way it was. Okay. And then when an employee retired and town administrator Bolton, so cross out those. Okay. And then 1, 2, 3 lines down from that, should be looked at now that another retirement is happening.
Okay.
Second paragraph up from the bottom, the first sentence. The board then proceeded to discuss warrant articles. And then 1, 2.
What do you want?
Page 2.
Page 2.
Second paragraph from the bottom. The board then proceeded to
2 instead of the.
discuss.
And then in that same paragraph, 1, 2, the third line up, just at the end of the sentence, asked for, period.
Voters are not confused as to what is being asked for.
Okay, that's all I had to learn.
Anything else on 2? 3? Move to accept the 12/18 minutes as amended. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
26. Maybe. Page 1, 26.
I'm okay.
Okay. I just want to clarify the reason that on this one, I didn't mention it last week, but I do want to mention it now. The reason I voted no on the cable TV committee, the sound mixer board, was not for not having a need for it. It did not follow the purchasing policy. That's
Yeah.
why.
For the 3 bids.
Yep. Well, the 3 quotes, I guess,
Quotes,
over
yeah.
$1,000. That's why my vote was no.
Okay.
Nothing on page 1?
Nope.
Page 2.
Third line down, Selectman Snyder moved.
Move. Okay.
Where'd you move to?
Right.
Paragraph with fire department improvement.
Uh-huh.
Second line, due to wear from chairs? Due to wear of chairs or wear from chairs?
Buy chairs. How about wear by chairs?
Buy chairs, that's a good one.
BY.
I'll go with that. And I don't have anything else.
Anything else on page 2? 3? Page 3, page 4? 5? Move to accept the 12:26 minutes as amended. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It wasn't here.
Oh, aye.
You said we didn't have the 17, right? Right.
No.
Okay.
Most of my day was devoted with warrant articles, so. The safety project camera, I think there's a little bit more in-depth discussion or research being happened. I scanned everything from the start of the proposal to the emails, to the letters, to the whole thing.
Okay.
And I asked for an answer tonight, and I didn't get one.
Okay.
So, I don't know what that means. I'm not sure. So, I mean, I'll get one for Monday night, because you know what, we have to move.
Oh,
We
absolutely.
have to do something.
Yeah.
I just
Do we
want to
have till the
wait for
10th to do something, or?
Yeah, because then it's gone to this year if you're gonna do anything.
Right.
Waiting on legal opinion is what I wrote on that, nothing else on that sheet. The only thing I did forget on this one, nothing's really changed. On this, there is a finance committee to meet tomorrow night, to meet with the fire department. They're gonna start at 6 o'clock. I guess I'll go for a while, but it's my understanding that the school's going first, even though the minutes say the fire's going first, so we're expecting to go first, so I don't know if that's gonna work or not, but anyway. I gave you my opinion on the public hearing, and that's handed to us as an SB2 state law.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing secret, nothing preventative.
No.
The food pantry, we started today. People that were coming in, were asking for new applications, and she's sitting down and going through that with them.
Signage is nice,
We had, we only had, I
the
think,
signage.
yeah, we only had,
Oh, yeah.
I think, 7 people maybe use it today. But it'll take time. There was one this morning, and I think there was more this afternoon, because she's open 7:30 in the morning till 10:30, and then she's back 4:30 to 7, so.
Mhm.
It's gonna take time to get used to.
The schedule.
Yeah, and just
Mhm.
getting all the information.
Yep.
We did make the form fillable, so she can do it
Mhm.
and meet with the person
On the
and then print
computer.
it, and it's nice and clear.
Are we cycling volunteers through as we?
Well, she doesn't know how many she needs yet. She's got a list.
Okay.
We're just waiting.
I just don't want her to get overburdened
Yeah,
right out
no,
the
and she
gate.
knows that, and she does school vacation week, so she knows it has to be staffed.
Okay.
But, you know what I mean, right, today there's 7, and now it won't be open again until Monday.
Right.
What I did do, though, is I did ask Dave Huey to put a door on down there,
Mm-hmm.
just because
Yeah.
there was a comment made to me about, well, maybe I was gonna have them break in the food pantry and get something to eat.
Oh, you mean where the curtain is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think that's smart.
and there is a lot of activity here at
Mhm.
night, and
Yeah.
you wouldn't hear somebody coming through
Oh,
with
'cause
a
Right.
crew.
No.
So, he found a used door at
Okay.
Jim's or something.
Big gyms.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jim's. And he's just gonna, it's all inclusive, so he's gonna take the boards off and just put the door in.
Mhm.
And then I bought 2 locks so that the outside lock and that
Mhm.
lock down there is the same.
I think that's a great idea.
And, you know, he's just gonna do it tomorrow.
Yep, it's fine.
Yeah, that's
So
good.
it just, that comment bothered me a little bit, because there's been a lot of work done there.
And
Not that anybody would do it.
Yeah, and not that individual, but there is a lot of opportunity.
But there's also, just to share with you, there's a lot of people come in here in the front door, go
Exactly.
and leave.
Right.
Because I've gone down before and ran
Yeah.
into people that just go out the door and out.
I mean, the UPS guy does it all the time.
So I just felt to be secure.
A girl.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. I agree.
There's been a lot of work gone into
Yep.
it. So there will be, I got the locks today, so there's one key will fit both doors. I think it'll come along, and she does have a list of volunteers, and
Yeah.
the people that came in today also said they would volunteer, so she's added them to the list. But yeah, just for
Didn't sit well.
a used door.
Mhm.
Yeah, not a used door. It's not even a used one. It's a second or something. It's flat. It's got no
Yeah.
panels, and I
Right.
don't care. But it fits, and he's gonna just do it and put it in the old door.
Yeah.
I can't find the old door. I think it got taken off when they put the rubber floors in, but
I think Malcolm.
I don't know where it went. We couldn't find it. So it was just to be done and to get done and be done. So that's what I wanted to do.
So January 10th, we have a meeting with the Finance Committee?
8th. I thought it was 8th.
The 8th.
8th.
Oh, the 8th, okay.
Yeah.
Tuesday, the
So
8th.
next week is interesting for any of you, because Monday night, we have a regular board meeting on the 7th.
Yep.
Yeah,
Tuesday night, we have the Finance Committee on the 8th.
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Wednesday night, we agreed to a joint meeting with Conservation.
Ugh.
Thursday night, if you still got enough stamina, the DPW and the PD is going to the Finance Committee. So that leaves me Friday.
Yay.
So, next week it'll be busy, but
Oh,
the
yes.
Conservation, I guess we said we'd go to their meeting,
Well, I
Yeah.
have it here, so.
and it's right here, so, and see what we discuss from there.
mm.
Okay.
And then Friday I have a meeting, just a brief meeting.
In the morning.
Yeah, what I did is, there was an opportunity, not that we ever use it, the state of New Hampshire is rolling out a new oversized, overweight permitting computer package. And they reached out to towns, and you could get the software for free. And you'd be trained quickly, it's just it's a very easy process, but,
Registration-wise?
no, this is just if Benji needed to go move something overweight, or,
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If we ever need to go move to something to.
Town only, not...
you don't have to go
not-
to the state to
You
do
don't
it, you
have
can
to
do it
go-
here.
Yeah. It was just interesting, so.
No, I guess I don't follow. Is
For
that
towns,
just for the
it's
municipality?
just for municipalities,
Oh,
yeah.
I thought we were grandfathered anyways.
Well, no, we're not.
No,
There's-
I haven't-
And so they're rolling out this new software.
We're not?
So he gave it to me. He asked me if I would be part of, so I put me and Benji and Joe,
Sure.
It's
That's good.
Might as well, but, I mean, the software,
Got to do every one
it's
of
a
them every
free-
winter,
It's a free software package, so
right?
eventually there's somebody be charging a fee for it.
Right.
So
Yeah.
maybe we can increase our revenue and sell them,
Right.
sell overweight permits.
You get a few. We do quite a few at
So,
work.
That's where I am in the morning.
But-
It's done at like 11:30, so I'll be back.
We're gonna have to issue them all in the winter then. They're all over with their wing plow,
That's right.
and they're all over. I
And then,
guarantee they're
I
heavy
saw
when they
you
roll.
look back, look, you gonna do a quick
A and
one
C,
for me?
please. Yep.
Okay, I just need to see, just real quick.
Okay, we'll do you first.
And
then.
did you come together? Okay, we won't be long, I knew that. That's why
Naomi,
I
We
can
won't-
drop you off, yes.
I could
Number
drop you off
8.
too.
Number 8. Which
that
one?
seems to be on there every month, week,
is it?
but nothing's
Ha-
coming
oh,
about.
harassment.
Which one?
Oh, the harassment and the
Yeah.
personnel?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
Well, that's side track a little bit.
Keys?
yeah, I
Keys?
still.
You got,
Actually, you're going down.
You gotta walk.
I'll just throw you, I'll let you tuck and roll at 50.
50? Wow. 50 and 30. All right.
So, yeah, I mean, John, I know it has been, we've trying to pick through all of it, but at the same time, we kind of put it on hold.
We're at budget.
Budgets.
Yeah.
So, good night.
Good night, Donna.
Hey.
We do have to, no, not yet.
No, not yet.
We will have to have, some input on that long before,
Okay, I just,
yeah, no.
See it there.
We'll take it.
yep. Same with number 1.
Yep, that's what she just said to me. I'm gonna take it off the
We're
agenda.
gonna have I'm gonna have an anniversary coming up, and I don't have my policy book
I
yet.
got one, I haven't got one yet.
You had more than one anniversary.
We won't say anything about number 5 then.
We won't say anything about what?
Number 5 then.
Wait. Yeah, he hasn't got one either. I don't think anyone's ever had one, but you guys originally.
Oh, no, on the
Number five.
building, no, not number 5 there.
Loss
No,
management.
on the building
I
sheet.
mean, I'm not part of.
Oh.
5 on the building sheet. We won't say anything about that either, and anniversary dates.
I couldn't find anybody. I had some, I thought I had someone. Nice.
And a penny.
All right, that's all I have.
Okay, correspondence, can we inquire, I see that they're putting another house up on Cortland.
Yeah.
Can we inquire
Yes.
about that easement?
Yeah, because I'm not gonna say any more, yes.
Thank you. I just want to make sure that,
Yeah.
oh, that's not a lost topic, especially
There's
with,
4 building permits, 5 building permits out.
okay. I just want to make sure that easement doesn't get lost in foundations.
No, the easement, he actually owns the property.
Oh.
He gets the tax bill for the property.
Oh.
So he's the owner, and we have the easement.
Yeah. I just don't want to get lost.
But there's been some opinions as to
Okay.
what can and can't happen,
Okay.
so.
I just don't want that to get lost in the
Mhm.
time of budget, that's all. And then we have another one down on,
And the one, just to let you know, the ones at the top of the hill here is put all septic designs in for several of them.
Uh-oh.
Up on,
Townhouse.
just before.
Duck Pond?
Yep.
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 I found out that's called Townhouse Road.
Oh, I didn't know if they gave it a name yet.
Yeah. Yeah, my buddy,
Well, what's the original town?
my buddy was going up there to string the lines. And he's like, "Where's Townhouse Road and where?" I was like, "Oh, maybe it's not William." And it was.
What is it called? Townhouse?
Townhouse, yeah.
Well,
Well,
that was the first town hall.
Town
wasn't it?
hall.
Yeah.
That burnt.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Many, I mean,
Yeah.
early on.
Pictures of that
No.
somewhere?
Nope.
No?
Never saw,
Just word of mouth?
well, it was probably burnt in the 1700s, so
Oh, wow.
I never saw it. There wasn't any cameras
Well,
back
you
then.
get that, and we can have, that'd be a great discussion to have jointly.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I just don't want it to get forgotten, that's
Yeah,
all. I
no,
know
it won't get
that,
forgotten.
I know that they asked us about it, and I just don't want it to get forgotten, that's all. Okay, any other correspondence, other business? I don't think I got anything that was of any substance this week.
Yeah, I sent you guys a huge package on the assessed valuation.
Yeah, the assessed valuation, why did we go down?
You always do it.
She likes to
After you do
share.
evaluation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You go down every year, that's why you do a revaluation, go back up.
Lovely,
You'll figure that out as a homeowner.
Yeah.
thanks.
A lot of houses were purchased in Weare, I'm sure.
Yeah,
A
mine.
lot of being built right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm, okay.
It's a hot spot right now.
Hey, we'll take the tax money.
Yeah, the problem is that you don't get enough from the taxes if you got 3 or 4 kids.
Like I say, they're bringing children with them.
Yeah, if
Unfortunately.
they've got, a lot of children, taxes are gonna be going up.
Oh, I know. That's the story of this town's life, I
Rent a
believe.
room out or something if you want.
I'm gonna have to. Anything from this side of the board? Anything from Sherry?
Yeah, just that, this comment on number 5, you just have to remember that I'm a full-time volunteer. I never get paid for anything, so I just want to let you know.
We're talking about anniversary dates, so that's all.
That's all, just want to let you know.
Okay. Just anniversary dates.
Isn't that a good burn, Naomi?
Yeah, it's fine. Okay, if there's no other correspondence of the business, move to go into non-public under RSA 91A3 Roman numeral 2C. Is there a second?
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
We'll be adjourning after that. Have a good night.